Welcome to my channel, INTJ Island. Today I'm going to talk about INTJ party time, or some ways I have dealt with past social events. In my INTJ party animal not video, I gave an example of how I like to perform for large groups rather than mingling and socializing. I have mentioned in other videos that I tend to move out of large groups and will even spend time outside walking alone or standing alone with my thoughts. Or if possible, I will search out another individual who also likes to discuss deep topics rather than wasting time on small talk. An alternative to that is I often will bring a chessboard in my car along with the pieces, and if somebody is interested in a game, I will happily do that as well. Today, I want to discuss some other options I have used to socialize. My wife Dottie came from a family with 8 children, and after we had been away for nearly 2 decades since our wedding in 1976, we moved back into the Vancouver-Portland area in 1995. We joined in with a few family get-togethers, including a couple of birthday parties in July, when our son's birthday and my father-in-law's birthday fell nearly on the same day. A favorite location for these summer parties was at Battleground Lake State Park in Washington State. The park name is shared with the nearby town of Battleground and came from the fact that in 1855, a U.S. Captain William Strong led a company of U.S. soldiers from Fort Vancouver in pursuit of some American Indians who had left the reservation for the Cascade Mountains. The soldiers caught up with the group at the site of where the town of Battleground is today. The Army had feared there would be a bloody battle, but Captain Strong was able to negotiate a peaceful return to the reservation instead. The site was dubbed Strong's Battleground, in honor of there having been no real battle fought there. The park itself is beautiful. The land is forested with tall pines, and at the heart of the park is a beautiful lake. The family arrived that warm July morning, and kids were running and playing, and the siblings were catching up on news, while the picnic lunch was being set up. At one point I was visiting with my father-in-law about the park and the height of the massive trees surrounding our tables. I told him I could estimate the height of the tallest tree that was closest to us, and he decided to make a game of it, and got all the siblings to take their best guess at the height of the tree, and I would give them the answer so they could see who was the closest. Once again I found an alternative to small talk, and my contribution was to help the others in their socializing. I found a piece of paper and folded it into a square, and then folded that in half to make a right triangle with 2 45-degree angles. I walked out to the place where the line of the hypotenuse pointed directly at the top of the tree, while the base was aligned horizontally with the ground. I marked the spot on the ground, and then paced off the distance from the base of the tree to that spot. I have been a walker all my life, and I knew my pace was nearly an exact 36 inches, just over 91 centimeters. So I counted out my steps, multiplied by 36, and then divided by 12, and had the answer in feet. I don't remember who won the game, but I do remember that was my contribution to the party. I had fun doing it, and they had fun guessing and socializing. One other alternative to socializing in a large group I used in 2003, when my wife had her 3rd conference, or a gathering, of the visitors to her webpage. The event was held in Vancouver, Washington. I did play my guitar and sing for some of the meetings, and I put on a little impromptu performance on Saturday night after the main event was done for the day, and a group gathered in our meeting room, and I took some requests for songs to play. However, on Saturday afternoon, a large contingent of the group joined us on a bus ride we chartered to Multnomah Falls for a hike to the top of the falls. For Dottie and I, of course, the falls are very special for sentimental reasons. We had our first all-alone date there on September 28, 1974. I should say that if we are still in good health on September 28, 2024, I hope to celebrate the 50th anniversary of that first hike by doing it one more time. We were living in Virginia at the time, but we got back for a visit in 1984, and while it wasn't on the exact day, we did a 10-year anniversary hike. We missed our 20th anniversary in 1994 because we were living in Massachusetts, but we did get there in 1995, and that was pretty close. We hiked it in 2003, which was a year before our 30th anniversary hike, and while we missed the date a bit this time, That year, over a couple of hikes, we made it all the way to the top of Larch Mountain above the falls, an extinct volcano which stands 4,056 feet above sea level. And the parking lot at the bottom is officially at 20 feet above sea level. Back to the falls. In 2014, we did our 40th anniversary walk to the top a few months early. It just happened to coincide with the 100th birthday of the bridge across the lower falls that is part of the trail. The celebration was going on as we were making our way towards the top. I'll put some links below so you can see what the hike is like and why I am suggesting that we need to be in good health and good shape in order to attempt it. It is a long, steep climb. On the bus ride, I stood near the front of the bus and I gave a bit of geological history of the Columbia River Gorge to the group. The gorge itself is cut right through the Cascade Mountain range by the Columbia River. That is pretty impressive all on its own. However, I then told about the thousands of feet of lava that poured from Idaho all the way through the states of Washington and Oregon, passing through the area of the gorge and on out into the Pacific Ocean. Remember, the state of Washington is 360 miles across. That is 580 kilometers, and it is a long way for lava to flow. And it was thousands of feet deep, too. Then a long time after that, when things had cooled off and settled down, the glaciers came to visit. The area where Seattle is today was 1,000 feet under ice, and several lakes were formed by ice blocking rivers. One of them created a huge lake in Montana, and the ice dam catastrophically failed, and 300 cubic miles of water ended up pouring across Washington and then into the Columbia River Gorge. The water was restricted into the channel previously cut by the Columbia River, and this pushed it up to over 1,000 feet in height, and it was moving more than 60 miles per hour. It was a titanic monster of water ripping at the gorge walls and reshaping the entire channel. It cut away the base of gentle streams that had flowed into the Columbia River and turned them into spectacularly beautiful hanging falls, like the one we were going to visit that day. I asked the group to look out of the windows of the bus on either side to see the high water marks on the walls of the gorge, near but not quite reaching the top. The group could easily see the exposed basalt layers where water had torn away the ground cover, and above that where the water had not been able to reach, where the ground cover still existed above the water line. I also told them about Lewis and Clark making their way through the gorge in 1805, heading west, and 1806, heading back east. Mount Hood had erupted shortly before their arrival, and they had come across a river that fed into the Columbia that was filled with sand. The sand had run off from Mount Hood during the small eruption. They named it the Quicksand River. Today, the sand has been cleared away, and it is a beautifully clear river where people swim. It is now known as the Sandy River, and there's also a town on that river named Sandy, Oregon. It was about a 40-minute bus ride, and so I ran out of time before I ran out of material, but I hope it helped make the ride more enjoyable for the others. In summary, my approach to socializing tends to fall into one of several paths. I might perform music or play sports or games like chess. Other times I might use my mind to calculate and solve problems. I can present facts that I have on tap, or perhaps the most common approach is to locate a quiet spot where I can either be alone or I can find a kindred spirit who will discuss things of depth that we both enjoy. How do you tackle social events? What is your preferred method of facing a large group? Please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you click on the bell, you will also receive notifications when I put up a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.